World leaders meeting in Kenya are under pressure to tackle one of the biggest threats facing the world's oceans, plastic pollution. Every year, the world produces more than 400 million tons of plastic, yet only about 10% is recycled. Much of the rest ends up in landfills, is burned, or finds its way into rivers, lakes, and oceans. The growing tide of plastic waste is damaging marine ecosystems and threatening the livelihoods of millions of people who depend on fishing. In Ghana, the impact is already visible along the coast. Nabil Ahmed Rufai reports.
What is washing up on Jamestown Beach in Accra is part of a much bigger problem affecting several coastlines in Ghana. Every day, thousands of plastic wastes end up on the shore. Hajianya sells fish here. She says the pollution is threatening her livelihood.
These days, I do not get enough fish from the fishermen. They complain that they are catching more plastic than fish whenever they go fishing.
And this is part of a wider global crisis. Across Africa, Asia, and island nations, fishing communities say plastic is increasingly replacing fish in their nets.
The impact of plastic pollution is hard to ignore here. Fishermen say discarded plastic, bottles, and other waste get entangled in their fishing nets, reducing their catch and damaging their fishing equipment.
The United Nations estimates that up to 23 million tons of plastic waste enter the ocean every year. Once in the water, plastic does not remain in one place. It is carried by currents, breaks down into smaller particles, and spreads into fishing grounds and marine habitats.
We have marine animals there. For example, here we have the turtles, even the green turtles. So when they see the plastics, sometimes they confuse it with food. And once they ingest it, it's a problem. They might end up dying. And turtles are endangered species.
The growing crisis is drawing global attention. Experts, governments, and policymakers from around the world are meeting at the Our Ocean Conference here in Mombasa, Kenya, to accelerate efforts to sustain the fisheries industry.
Marine pollution is high on the agenda at this year's conference. Governments are pledging to step up the fight against plastic pollution by investing in recycling, improving waste management, and working together to stop more plastic from ending up in the ocean.
Last year, governments, the private sector, and other stakeholders announced commitments worth more than $400 million to address marine pollution with a strong focus on tackling plastics. But environmental groups say progress remains too slow, especially on funding.
So these commitments have to come at many levels. At international level, there has to be commitments. The waste doesn't just come from each country. It comes from outside as well because of the waves. So there has to be commitments to reduce the use of plastic, especially non-recyclable plastic. There has to be commitments to provide funding for like small island developing states that did not cause the problem but are suffering because of where they are.
But analysts say affected countries need to show a clear roadmap for the money because manufacturers are hesitant to fund cleanup efforts owing to weak extended producer responsibility laws, poor data on waste generation, and a fragmented informal recycling sector. So in the meantime, efforts are underway in places like Ghana to address the problem through tighter regulations, more formalized recycling programs, and plans to phase out some single-use plastics, including styrofoam packaging.
The marine pollution issue cannot be addressed by one sector. It requires an intersectoral mandate. In the meantime, we can have a program where we collect the waste, train young people, community-based mini factories, process the waste into usable products that are needed in the community.
Back in Jamestown, Hajianya says change cannot come fast enough. She believes protecting the oceans will require a collective global effort. She wants world leaders to stop fishing for applause and start delivering results, before plastics sink the livelihoods of communities like Jamestown. Nabil Ahmed Rufai, reporting for GH1 News.
Well, from Kenya, let's come down and do some business.